Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us virtually for History Miami Museum's fourth annual CultureFest 305, a folk life festival celebrating what makes Miami Miami. Before getting started, we invite you to use the live captioning service that we have available if you'd like, and you can click the closed caption button at the bottom of the screen. If you're just joining us, my name is Vanessa Navarro Maza, and I'm the Folk Life Curator at History Miami. I manage the South Florida Folk Life Center, which is the museum's division dedicated to documenting, presenting, and supporting the region's traditional arts and cultural heritage. Over the next 2 days, you can enjoy online performances, workshops, demonstrations with some of the city's finest traditional artists, dancers, and musicians. Be sure to check out the festival schedule on our webpage, which also includes ongoing activities for kids and adults, such as craft activities, artist videos, coloring pages, cooking recipes, which we will get to during this demonstration, and much more. And I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors at the National Endowment for the Arts and the Perez Crearte Grants Program for making CultureFest 305 possible. For today's demonstration on tropical fruit farming, we're joined by the LNB family of LNB Groves and Gretchen Schmidt from Edible South Florida. During this virtual farm to table experience, we'll tour LNB Groves, a second generation family farm, as Marc, Adena, and Levi Ellenby discuss the variety of tropical fruits and plants that they grow. Gretchen and Adena will then lead a demonstration highlighting some of LNB Grovestand's signature products, as well as the history and culture of the farming community in the Redland area. Throughout the demonstration, please feel free to add any questions that you might have for Adena or Gretchen in the Q&A box, and we'll get to as many as we can during the Q&A session at the end of the program. And now, please enjoy the presentation.
Good morning. Welcome to our family farm. My name is Marc Ellenby. This is my son Levi. He's the youngest. This is Adena. She's the eldest. Levi was born on this farm that we started in 1980. He wasn't born until 91, a year before Hurricane Andrew. With his three sisters in attendance in our little farmhouse he's come full cycle and lives in now. Levi is training to be the manager of all of our farms. This is our home farm. It's a certified USDA organic farm. We grow many crops here. We started initially with annonas, sugar apple, atamoya, and annona hybrid, mamey sapote, jackfruit. We had lychee back in the day, we still do. We grow longan, passion fruit, mamey sapote. And these days, we're growing organic crops in raised beds of organic soil on top of the ground, including turmeric and ginger and others. We're still trying to diversify and growing nutrient-dense foods for the marketplace. And they're helping me with our choices.
Now we're gonna do a little walk around the farm, so come with us. Do you want to pick that jackfruit when we go back?
Yeah.
Okay. So these are our raised beds of the organic turmeric. You can see this is the vegetative part of the plant that grows above the soil line, and it should get a little bit taller than this, but this is about it. And then the turmeric is actually growing underneath the soil here in this 6 to 8 inches of this raised bed, and that's what we will harvest and use for our products that my sister makes. And turmeric is a rhizome, so it grows under the ground. And when this vegetative part of the plant starts to die back, that's when you begin to harvest the turmeric, and you know that that's when it's ready because the plant will send all this energy into the roots, into the rhizome, and then you have a few months to harvest once that process happens. It's a little bit early, so this would be considered young turmeric or baby turmeric, but you can get an idea of how we sort of dig it up out of the bed, which is all done by hand. And let's see here, get one of these edge ones here. So the rhizome is going to be in this little 1-2 foot area around the turmeric, and you just want to be careful when you start to dig it up that you're not going to damage the rhizome too much. So this is all done by hand, which makes it a very labor-intensive crop. But the end product is beautiful. You can see our nice little organic worms here that live in the soil. They don't eat the turmeric, but they help break down the soil and provide some much needed nutrients. The leaves are also edible from the plant. I like to just snip some of the young leaves, chop it up, throw it in a stir fry or a soup, or like some type of, just as a garnish on top of a dish. This is the Sapodilla tree. It's one of the main crops we grow and probably our largest as far as overall pounds that we produce each year. This is definitely the leader for us. Sapodilla is in the sapote family. It is a very sweet fruit. When it's ripe and sliced open, it has a caramel brown color, and it sort of has the flavor of a brown sugar dipped pear. And it's a really interesting tree. Like many tropical fruit trees, they have a lot of sap, but the Sapodilla is especially sappy, so there's sap running through all the leaves, all the stems, and these are not quite ready to pick yet, but I'll show you, I'll pick just a little one just to show you the sap that drips out of here. When you pick it, it's kind of interesting. And so for years in rainforests, they would use these trees, they would eat the fruit, the ones that they could reach, but they were tapped for their chicle. So this is a natural chicle producing tree. When we're foraging for jackfruit, we're going around, and Adena is very experienced, so she can sort of tell before she even approaches the tree which ones are going to be ready and which ones aren't. But the field test is the best way to really go around and see which ones are ready. And this one actually had a little bit of give down here. Even though it's growing pretty close to the ground there, we might be able to salvage some of the fruit off this one.
So the jackfruits, they have a really thick stem. So when you're standing under the tree, it's unlikely that one's going to fall on you. It's more likely that it's going to just disintegrate and decompose on the tree. But we're at the end of the jackfruit season. During the summer, all of these trees in this row looked like this, just loaded with jacks. And they're all a little different, which we'll talk about. Every tree has a slightly different color, texture, flavor, so it's a very exciting fruit that we love.
We're in luck. We found a ripe jackfruit here.
This is what we're looking for, a nice tree ripe. It's a lot less sappy, and it's the perfect ripeness. The tree tells us it's ready. This is a special variety. It's called a black gold. Not all of the varieties are named, but this one is a really unique, soft and crunchy, which we'll talk about. You ready?
Yep.
This one probably weighs about 50 pounds. It is ready to get into. So we'll be having jackfruit for lunch. And the seeds are also edible. But the majority of this, about a third of the weight of this, is the edible fruit that we either process and freeze for smoothies or eat fresh. Jackfruit.
Nice one.
Nice luck. How much pepper there is in there. Look at that. So this is black pepper, and we harvest it. You can eat it fresh just like this, but you can just leave this on the counter and it will dry out and it'll look like a black peppercorn in a few days, just naturally. But these green peppercorns, they're so, it's just a burst of pepper flavor. It's really good, like a mint.
And they need a trellis. They need something to grow up onto, so they don't collapse over. They can be like a sprawling vine on the ground, but they prefer to grow up towards the sun and have some sort of support or tree to grow onto.
And these young sapodillas are doing a good job.
Very good for you. This combined with turmeric helps your body absorb all the curcumin in the turmeric. The black pepper is the secret ingredient in helping your body maximize everything that's available in the turmeric.
planted in different areas. This is just interplanted in between here. There's a little bit of shade. And the ginger is interesting because you build the ground up to cover the rhizome versus the ginger growing down. So you're building the soil above the ground for the ginger to keep growing and making nice big rhizomes. And the turmeric, the ginger, and the black pepper are the 3 ingredients that make our turmeric tonic.
Ginger leaf, something also extremely aromatic. You can smell, delicious. Smells just like ginger. So now we're in our few rows here on the organic farm of mamey sapote. It is related to the sapodilla we saw before. Mamey is really interesting because the fruit kind of grows right on the branches of the tree, and it's a very flexible branches, so they do well in hurricanes, except for the fact that if it is strong winds, all the fruit will drop. And mamey is also cool because you'll have multiple years of fruit on the tree at one time. So you can actually see next year's fruit is already here on the branches. These little guys here is actually going to be the fruit for next year. So in a really bad hurricane or wind event, you have you run the risk of losing everything at multiple years of production because it'll just get blown off by the wind. But I'll show you when we are ready to pick the mamey, you do the scratch test. And so go to this one, and you're going to scratch it a little bit down low, and you see that nice red color. That's what you want. That's going to be the fruit telling you that the sugars are developing, it's getting ripe. And then I also like to scratch it up top just to be safe. It's a little bit more orange up top. You can see the color difference, but this fruit's ready to pick. You could actually use this as a root stock if you were wanting to plant a mamey tree, and then later on graft on the branches of maybe already producing fruit. And so these seeds are often used for that in the nursery business. Well, they'll collect a bunch of seeds from the fruit itself, and they grow them up to have a strong root stock, and then later on they'll graft them. But that's a beautiful little plant ready to grow. These are our very young Carambola trees. These trees are about 5.5 years old. This is a cool time of year to see the trees because there's both fruit and flowers on them at the same time. You can see the really pretty flowers here of the Carambola. Has a nice faint little smell of the fruit as well. I'll pick a little just to show you up close. It makes a beautiful little flower, and the fruit set will happen right here at the tips of these little flowers. Starts off really delicate, tiny little versions of the fruit itself, and let's find one to pick here that we can eat. Adena has a couple already. These are
like
our.
To just eat them right off the tree. They're so hydrating. It's like nature's Gatorade. It's really refreshing, and this variety is super sweet. It's a really nice one, and we actually, you can see there's some green ones right now. They were covered. These trees, like a week ago, they were covered, but starfruit do drop very easily. But the next crop is right behind them. And the green ones of this variety, surprisingly, are also kind of good. They're not as good as a nice fully ripe one, but it's so sweet that you can even eat them green. We make a salsa out of them. We dehydrate them. We eat them just like this. Starfruit is a very well-known tropical fruit, but in the grocery store, they never look very good. They're damaged, they're bruised, so.
This is why they call it starfruit. The star shape when you cut it. Come here, Rip Rap. Come here, Rip Rap.
All right. So this is Jamaican sorrel, also known as Roselle or Florida cranberry. This is the plant. It is going to make a beautiful red calyx that is crunchy and tart and such an incredible color. You can see a baby one coming right now. That's the first little bud. We actually harvest the calyx, remove the seed, and then blend it into a smoothie, giving it such an incredible magenta color. This is in the okra family, so you'll see when it flowers, the flowers look like okra. There's a little gumminess. It has a really interesting viscosity when you blend it all, and the puree is like jammy. It's so good, and we can use it in Thanksgiving time. We actually make our cranberry sauce with it, and in the Caribbean, it's used as a punch. They make like a spiked punch over Christmas and spice it up with cinnamon and cloves and allspice. It's really good, but we use the whole flower itself. And soon, hopefully, these will be covered in gorgeous red calyces, and we will come and snip them one by one. Again, lots of work removing seeds and processing, but well worth the effort. It's really high in vitamin C, antioxidants, and it's awesome just eaten in a salad or blended into a smoothie. Here we go. We're going to be surrounded by sorrel sand. The leaves are edible, but what we're going for is the calyx that's going to be set soon, hopefully. All right, we have a half of a jackfruit here. So we're gonna cut this half into quarters, and then we're gonna take out the core. Jackfruit is quite a bit of work, but once you learn a few simple techniques, you'll see it's well worth it. I've been cutting these up my whole life, so it's become second nature to me. We actually do a lot of the hard work for you when you come to our stand and try jackfruit for the first time. A lot of people have fallen in love with jackfruit. We've taken out the core, so now you can just invert it like this, and you can see all these pockets. These are the arils. This is the edible part. Every pocket has a seed, which is also edible. You can boil it and roast it. Sort of tastes like a chestnut. It's a really high protein, delicious little treat. And the jackfruit itself, that nice yellow flesh, this one's a little bit soft and crunchy, which is typical of this variety. Every variety is a little different. The color and the flavor vary depending on the tree. We blend them into smoothies. We eat them just like this. This is an awesome fruit that I am sure you would like to come try. So happy to be joined with our friend Gretchen, the editor of Edible South Florida, and so much more. She is experienced in so many different ways and really a true ambassador of all things local and awesome happening here.
Well, thank you for that.
Thank you for being here. I have some jackfruit if you'd like to try.
I'd love to try some.
Excellent.
What kind is this?
This is our black gold variety. Tell me what you think. It's a more mild flavor. We use this in our smoothie for the yellow color. It's also eaten just like this, fresh. It's delicious.
It's so delicious, and it's so hard to describe the flavor. Some people say it's like bubble gum, but this one is not so sweet, not so pungent, but has a little tartness like pineapple, I guess, maybe.
It's a great introductory jackfruit, sort of like a pineapple and a melon, a little banana, but they are all different. We have a couple cut up over here. You can see just the color difference between these two, so the flavor will also be subtly different. Jackfruit is just one of these fruits that, you know, it's intimidating, it's big, and you don't really know what to do. So year after year, we've been cutting them up, dissecting them, and showing people and teaching people how to eat them when they taste really good. You know, not every jackfruit is great, so we feed those to the chickens and we focus on the good ones. But I think by now people really do have an appreciation for jackfruit, and we're still figuring out ways to use it. So we're just happy to grow them and cut them up for you.
Now, the last time I was here was right after Hurricane Irma in 2017. And I remembered visiting, and we walked through a lot of broken branches, trees down. And I remember that things look great. This is 3 years later. And so you've got plenty of stuff going here, and it's all come back now. Your dad reminded us that these trees were planted after Hurricane Andrew, which went right through this area. Tell us a little bit about what you remember, and I guess you were what, 9?
I was 9. We were actually here on the farm in our tiny wooden farmhouse, our family of 6. It was a life-changing event, and farmers in the Redlands often describe it as like pre-Hurricane Andrew and post-Hurricane Andrew. So we were the pioneers that stuck it out. We stayed, we replanted. These jackfruit trees are all post-Hurricane Andrew. They're 25, 30 years old. And, you know, I remember walking outside and the whole entire orchard just being completely leveled and not knowing what we would do. But we, you know, we had our well, we pumped water, we had our propane gas grill, and we had a lot of fruits and veggies. So we did okay, and now whenever there's a hurricane, it's the biggest threat for farmers, really. You know, you talk about fruit hanging on trees and a big wind comes through and then the fruit's not on the trees anymore. So hurricane season is always a really stressful few months for us, but we are now actually planting crops that are more hurricane resistant.
What are some of those crops?
Turmeric is a great example. It grows under the ground. It is an annual, so you're not, waiting 10 years for a tree to bear and then losing everything. Turmeric is great. Things like ginger, the sorrel, the Roselle actually, black pepper, smaller things, not such big trees. But we also, in a big hurricane, if all the fruit's on the ground, we're pretty resourceful. We'll salvage it, we'll process it. A lot of what I do is harvest fruit and then ripen it and process it. So throughout the season, I'm extending the availability of the fruit by freezing it when it's at its peak of the season, so it's fresh frozen, and then you can enjoy a jackfruit smoothie year round. So you're really turning it into something that people can appreciate and enjoy and have access to, versus just having a 50-pound fruit on your counter and like, whoa, how do I deal with that?
And that's something that visitors to your fruit stand on the weekends and also to farmers markets when those are up and running again, what they order when you do your smoothies represent fruits that you grow all year round. This seems very resourceful. You're not just limited to the season and, oh well, some farmers who only grow a few things that grow in the wintertime, like tomatoes or lettuce, that sort of thing. The summertime is their quiet time if they're not growing anything else. You, on the other hand, you're busy harvesting, preparing, getting ready so that you have smoothies year-round. Tell us about some of the fruits in these smoothies that you use and why we need to know about them.
Sure. So there's always something in tropical fruit all year round. The summer is our main season. But what I really do is harvest them when they're at their peak season. I ripen them and then I process them. I do a lot of seed removing, and then I'm freezing the pulp. So then when I use it in the smoothie, there's jackfruit and papaya in here, there's mamey and sapodilla in here, there's kale and ginger and banana and passion fruit, and then Roselle and banana. So I have all these different colors that uses all these different fruits that I'm using my frozen fruit inventory that all year round I'm adding to and replenishing, and hopefully when the jackfruit is back in season next summer, I am using my last bit of this summer's fruit, so then I'm ready for next season to fill the freezers again. And then we make these smoothies so you can enjoy them all year round, all the different colors. Sometimes you don't even know what fruits you're actually getting, but the rainbow makes it very approachable, accessible, so people of all ages can enjoy these fun, exotic tropical fruits.
Tell us about the turmeric tonic now.
This is our very strong medicinal beverage. It's a concentrate. All the ingredients are grown on our farm. That's kind of what we do. We make things with what we grow on our farm. So this has turmeric, ginger, black pepper, honey, and lemongrass. And we just take a shot a day. It is known for its anti-inflammatory properties, but some people, for immunity, you can make a delicious golden milk with it. You can drink it straight just like this. You can use it for cooking. It makes a great curry. And salud.
Thank you.
Sure.
Peppery, sweet, earthy. That's a turmeric, isn't it?
Earthy turmeric, the whole rhizome is in there. So we blend it and put it in the bottle. There's about 500,000 milligrams of turmeric in this bottle. So this is about a 2-week supply. You can get smoothies, turmeric concentrate, jack packs when they're in season, guacamole is in season now. We have our drive-through open. It's a weekend market from 9 to 3. We also have some other products that our friends are making with fruit from our farm, like kombucha and ice creams. And right now we're just open on the weekends, but it was sort of where we pivoted after the farmers markets closed to be able to still have that touch with the community and, share the fruit from our farm, because we're here in the Redlands and a lot of people don't even know what these fruits are or where they came from. And our mission is to really just teach people, share fruit and health.
And you have a great newsletter. Tell people how they can subscribe to it. Every week you write about people in the community who visit you, and you also shed some light on what you've got growing in the season.
Sure. So our website is LNB Grovestand, just like my shirt. Our last name is Ellenby, in case anyone was wondering why our farm's called LNB Groves. It's not spelled like this, but our newsletter, you can sign up for our newsletter on our website, and that is a great weekly interview with someone from the community. We even did an interview with you.
Why, so you did.
And it's a really great way to just know, what other people are into in their life and their passion, and share how we're all connected by our love of tropical fruit.
And I'm with Edible South Florida, and we go to the LNBs quite frequently because of all the wonderful things they grow on this second-generation family farm. And we're a quarterly magazine, and you can find us online, and you can find us at farmers markets and different markets throughout the year and pick up your own copy. And we're at ediblesouthflorida.com, all spelled out.
Hi there. Hi, Gretchen.
Hi.
Let's see if
Hi
we
there.
got Adena here.
Hey.
Hi there. Thank you both so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. So let me see. Let's jump right into it. We have about 5 minutes, so let's go ahead and answer some questions from the audience. One for Catherine Garcia would like to know, what does jackfruit taste like? How would you describe it?
Is that for
Should I
Adena?
take this one?
Yeah.
Jackfruit is a fruit that as you're eating it, it's changing flavors. It can be pineapple, melon, banana, coconut, mango. It's all in one fruit. Some are a little more tart, some are a little more sweet, but that mysterious, exciting jackfruit flavor, it's so unique. There's really nothing like it. Supposedly, it's the original flavor of juicy fruit gum, but I'm sure juicy fruit is not using jackfruit anymore. But if you like, who eats juicy fruit gum anymore? But that's the most common, I guess, like food that one might associate with the jackfruit.
Nice. We have another question. What has been the biggest challenge you and other farmers have faced during this pandemic?
Well, I think being a farmer, you have a lot of food security. I think the challenge has been gearing up to grow more crops to provide fresh, local, organic food to people who are in search of it now more than ever, because they want to have that connection with the farm and trust their food. We're lucky because we work outside and it's a safe way of working during the pandemic, but just trying to grow as much food as we can to keep people healthy.
Gretchen, how about you? How have you seen farmers and vendors and other people in the community adapting to the pandemic?
We've seen a much bigger demand for local food ever since the pandemic started, and people didn't want to go to grocery stores anymore. And so I think local produce is much in demand by people who maybe before didn't care where it really came from. But now that we grow it, and now that we're coming into our usual growing season right now, they'll be looking for it some more, and the farmers markets are starting to reopen again now.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question. When we did this video, the Roselle was not in season yet. But Gretchen, I know you have a plant. If you can show us what it looks like.
Well, Adena's got rows and rows of them, but I grew one in my backyard garden here, and this one I just harvested it a few minutes ago. And I'm going to be using this and the other ones for Thanksgiving, and we're going to try the Florida cranberry sauce that I know Adena makes every year. And you guys have them at your markets when they're in season, right?
We do. We've actually just started processing them for our smoothies. We harvested. We brought all the kids down with us, and everyone had clippers, and we picked for hours, and it was so much fun.
And also I wanted to mention, so on the CultureFest webpage, Edible South Florida put together some recipes, and one of those is the cranberry sauce, I believe. So definitely check that out. I think that the link is in the chat. We have two questions. One is, this is for you, Adena. What is the best thing about being a farmer?
For me, growing fruit and picking it off a tree and eating it and enjoying it, and then bringing it to the market and sharing it with people in ways that opens their eyes into what's growing here. And, fruits that are really familiar to me, like jackfruit and mamey, are not as familiar to other people. So teaching people about these fruits and sharing them, to me, is the best part.
We have someone who wants to know if there are any volunteer opportunities available on the farm.
There's always a lot of work. Right now, we're in real, nothing right now because of COVID, but come by our drive-through. We're here every weekend, and we encourage people to come check us out and try whatever's in season and what we make with what we grow.
So I have a question. You kind of talked a little bit about this, but this goes for both of you because this is kind of part of the mission of what you both do. What is your favorite thing about educating people about local food? Gretchen, I don't know if you want to take it first.
Okay, there's so much to talk about here. I mean, we discover things, we learned about jackfruit from Adena, who is really the unofficial jackfruit ambassador in South Florida. And I mean that. She spent years every week telling people about it. But there's so much more. We follow groups like the Rare Fruit and Vegetable Council up in Broward, and then we have Rare Fruit International Miami here. And you can learn about things you've never heard about that grow so beautifully here, tropical things that are native to Central America and South America and other places. And it's just exciting. It never ends.
How about you, Adena?
I agree. I mean, the diversity of the tropical fruit grows in South Florida is incredible. And I'm so privileged to be the daughter of a farmer. And, now we are second generation planting new crops and new resilient crops and trying to add value to different crops so we can extend the availability of them and make them really approachable. And, for me, that direct link from the farm to our community is really what makes it all worth it.
Fantastic. Well, that was quick, right? We are all out of time. But thank you both so much for being with us and for being a part of CultureFest. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Here we go. So yes, thank you again so much to Gretchen, Adena, and the rest of the LNB family for today's presentation. And thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the program, and we hope you will join us for other events that we have going on. You can check out the festival schedule for other programs that we have today and all day tomorrow. And you can also, on our webpage, we have tons of activities available for you to enjoy. Our next event is a movie watch party with O Cinema at 6 p.m. and we'll be screening Deep City, the birth of the Miami Sound, followed by a conversation with the filmmakers. So please see the chat for more information. We hope to see you there. Thank you.